There is one person you will never escape. You can leave a city, you can leave a job, you can leave a relationship, you can walk away from your past. But wherever you go, you will still meet yourself. Your habits will follow you, your fears will follow you, your weaknesses will follow you, your unfinished battles will follow you. This is why the most important victory in life is not victory over another person. It is victory over yourself. Self-mastery is not about becoming perfect. It is not about never feeling fear, anger, doubt, or temptation. It is about reaching a point where these things no longer control your decisions. You may feel fear, but fear does not choose your direction. You may feel anger, but anger does not control your tongue. You may feel tired, but tiredness does not decide whether you continue. You may feel temptation, but temptation does not become your master. That is self-mastery. It is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of inner authority. Most people want power over their circumstances. They want power over other people. They want control over the future. They want life to behave according to their expectations. But they have never learned to control their own attention. They cannot control how long they remain angry. They cannot control how quickly they react. They cannot control the impulse to check their phone. They cannot control the habit that is destroying their health. They cannot control the thoughts that keep them awake at night. And yet they want to control the world. The Shaolin path begins in the opposite direction. Before trying to conquer anything outside yourself, learn to govern what exists within you. Because if you cannot command yourself, every external victory will eventually become another form of slavery. Money will control you. Attention will control you. Praise will control you. Comfort will control you. Fear of losing what you gained will control you. A person can own many things and still be owned by their desires. A person can appear powerful while being completely controlled from within. Real strength is quiet. It does not need to prove itself in every room. It does not react to every insult. It does not chase every opportunity. It does not become desperate when things do not happen immediately. Real strength remains centered. It knows when to move. It knows when to wait. It knows when to speak. And it knows when silence is more powerful. Self-mastery begins with awareness. You cannot change what you refuse to see. You cannot master a habit you constantly justify. You cannot overcome weakness while pretending it does not exist. You must observe yourself honestly, not with hatred, not with shame, with clarity. What happens inside you when someone criticizes you? What happens when you do not receive attention? What happens when your plans fail? What happens when you become uncomfortable? Do you immediately escape? Do you become defensive? Do you blame someone? Do you reach for distraction? Do you make excuses? Your reactions reveal the areas that still require training. The world is constantly showing you where you are not yet free. The person who makes you angry reveals where your emotions can still be controlled. The delay that makes you impatient reveals where your peace depends on timing. The rejection that destroys your confidence reveals where your worth depends on approval. The temptation you cannot resist reveals where your discipline is weak. Do not hate these moments. Study them. They are showing you the work. Many people spend their entire lives avoiding the work. They distract themselves. They blame their childhood. They blame their partner. They blame society. They blame bad luck. Some of these difficulties may be real. Some wounds may not be your fault. But as long as you place all responsibility outside yourself, you also place all power outside yourself. Responsibility does not mean everything was your fault. It means you are no longer willing to let what happened decide what happens next. This is where freedom begins. You say, I may not control what happened to me, but I control what I build from it. I may not control who left, but I control whether I abandon myself. I may not control the obstacle, but I control how I meet it. I may not control the first emotion, but I control whether that emotion becomes an action. This is not weakness, this is ownership. And ownership gives you power. The undisciplined mind always searches for the easiest path. It says, start tomorrow, sleep a little longer. One more distraction will not matter. Someone else is responsible. You deserve comfort. You can skip today. The voice sounds harmless, but every time you obey it, the weaker version of you becomes stronger. And every time you resist it, something inside you changes. You begin creating a different identity, not through words, through evidence. Every disciplined action tells your mind, I am in command. You wake up when you said you would. You complete the task even when motivation is gone. You remain calm when your ego wants to fight. You keep your boundary even when loneliness appears. You continue when nobody is watching. These are not small acts. They are the foundation of self-trust. Confidence is often misunderstood. People think confidence means believing you will always win. But real confidence is knowing that even if you fail, you will not abandon yourself. You will learn, you will correct, you will return. Confidence grows when your actions prove that your word has meaning. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you will change and then do nothing, your mind stops trusting you. This is why positive words alone are not enough. You must build evidence. Do not promise that you will transform your entire life in one day. Promise that you will do one difficult thing today. Then do it by stooms that you will train for 20 minutes. Then train by stooms that you will sit in silence for 5 minutes. Then sit. Promise that you will not return to the habit that weakens you. Then keep the promise for this day. Tomorrow, keep it again. Self-mastery is built through repetition. A Shaolin practitioner does not perform one movement once and expect mastery. The movement is repeated, again and again and again, until the body understands what the mind once struggled to remember. The same is true for character. Patience must be repeated. Focus must be repeated. Courage must be repeated. Restraint must be repeated. Stillness must be repeated. You become what you practice. If you practice distraction, you become distracted. If you practice complaining, you become bitter. If you practice avoidance, you become fearful. If you practice discipline, you become reliable. If you practice presence, your mind becomes steady. Every day, you are training something. The question is whether you are training the quality you want. Many people say they cannot focus, but they train distraction for hours every day. They check every notification. They jump between videos. They interrupt every moment of silence. They reach for stimulation as soon as boredom appears. Then they expect the mind to remain still when important work begins. The mind behaves according to its training. If you teach it to chase every impulse, it will chase every impulse. If you teach it to remain with one task, it gradually develops strength. Focus is not something you either have or do not have. It is a capacity that grows through use. Choose one task, remain with it. When the mind wanders, bring it back. It wanders again, bring it back again. Do not become frustrated. The return is the training. Meditation works in the same way. The goal is not to sit down and have no thoughts. The goal is to recognize when your attention has moved and consciously return it to the breath, to the body, to the present moment. Each return strengthens awareness, and awareness gives you the space to choose. Without awareness, you react automatically. Someone insults you, and anger speaks. Fear appears, and you run. Discomfort appears, and you escape. Temptation appears, and you surrender. But awareness creates a pause. Inside that pause, there is power. You feel anger. You breathe. You observe. You decide whether a response is necessary. You feel fear. You acknowledge it. But instead of running immediately, you ask what action aligns with your values. You feel the desire to give up. You notice it. Then you continue for another 5 minutes. Self-mastery lives inside this pause. The person who reacts immediately can be controlled by anyone who understands their triggers. All someone has to do is criticize them, challenge their ego, take away attention. Immediately, they lose their center. Do not give other people this power. Your peace should not be so fragile that one sentence can destroy it. This does not mean accepting disrespect. It means responding from clarity rather than impulse. Sometimes you must speak. Sometimes you must leave. Sometimes you must defend a boundary. But do it consciously. Not because your anger commanded you, because wisdom decided it was necessary. There is a difference between strength and aggression. Aggression often comes from insecurity. It needs to dominate. It needs to be seen. It needs to win every argument. Strength does not need constant demonstration. Strength can remain silent without feeling weak. Strength can walk away without needing the final word. Strength can admit a mistake without feeling destroyed. Strength can listen without becoming defensive. The strongest person in the room is often the one who is least controlled by ego. Ego wants recognition. It wants to be right. It wants to appear superior. It becomes offended when it is overlooked. It suffers when someone else succeeds. It turns every disagreement into a personal attack. Self-mastery requires you to observe the ego without obeying it. Ask yourself, what am I protecting? Is it truth or is it an image? Do I need to respond because something important is at stake or because I cannot tolerate feeling disrespected? Not every battle deserves your energy. So, some battles are simply traps designed for your ego. Winning the argument may cost you your peace. Proving your point may damage the relationship. Responding to every critic may pull you away from your purpose. Learn to recognize the difference between what matters and what merely provokes you. Your energy is limited. Spend it with intention. A distracted person reacts to whatever appears. A disciplined person chooses where attention goes. Where attention goes, energy follows. If your attention is constantly on people who doubt you, they control your energy. If your attention is constantly on the past controls your present. If your attention is constantly on comparison, you will always feel inadequate. Bring the attention back to your path, back to your work, back to the quality of your own actions. You cannot control how quickly someone else moves. You cannot control what opportunities they receive. You cannot control their advantages. But you can control whether you waste today watching them. Comparison is one of the greatest enemies of self-mastery. It makes you abandon your own rhythm. You see someone else progressing quickly and you become impatient. You change direction, you question your path, you chase what they have, even when it has nothing to do with your purpose. The mountain does not compete with the river. The tree does not become insecure because another tree grows faster. Each develops according to its nature and environment. Your task is not to become someone else. Your task is to discover and develop what has been placed within you. This takes patience. And patience is not passive. Patience is disciplined effort without emotional desperation. You keep working, you keep learning, you keep preparing. But you stop demanding that life obey your timeline. Most suffering comes from the distance between what is happening and what you believe should be happening. You believe you should already be successful. You believe they should treat you differently. You believe the opportunity should have arrived. You believe the plan should have worked. Reality does not match the expectation, and frustration begins. Self-mastery does not mean having no expectations. It means not being destroyed when life moves differently. You adapt, you learn. You accept what cannot be changed and act on what can. Acceptance is not giving up. It is seeing the present clearly enough to respond wisely. You cannot respond effectively to reality while fighting the fact that reality exists. First acknowledge what is. The relationship has ended. The opportunity was lost. The mistake happened. The plan failed. The time has passed. This is where you are. Now ask, what can I do from here? Not from the life you wish you had, from the life that exists now. Power begins with honest contact with reality. You cannot change yesterday, but you can change the pattern that yesterday revealed. You cannot recover every lost opportunity, but you can prepare for the next one. You cannot force someone to choose you, but you can stop rejecting yourself to keep them. You cannot erase pain, but you can decide what pain teaches you. Pain is part of life. Loss is part of life. Failure is part of life. Trying to avoid every painful experience will also make you avoid growth. The body becomes stronger through resistance. The mind becomes stronger through challenge. Courage develops in the presence of fear. Patience develops during delay. Self-control develops when temptation exists. Without resistance, there is no training. Do not ask why the path contains difficulty. Ask what the difficulty is training within you. Perhaps the delay is training your patience. Perhaps the rejection is training your independence. Perhaps the failure is training your humility. Perhaps the loneliness is teaching you to stop abandoning yourself. Perhaps the uncertainty is teaching you to move without guarantees. The obstacle may not be separate from the path. The obstacle may be the path. This does not mean every painful event was deliberately sent to teach you. It means once the event exists, you can decide whether it only wounds you or also develops you. You cannot always choose the experience, but you can choose how you carry it. A weak mind says, "Why me?" A disciplined mind asks, "What now? What can be learned? What must become stronger? What can I control?" This is how suffering is transformed into strength. But be careful. Strength does not mean constantly forcing yourself without rest. Self-mastery also requires wisdom. You must know when the body needs recovery, when the mind needs silence, when continuing is courage, and when stopping is intelligence. Discipline without awareness can become self-destruction. The purpose of training is not to punish yourself. It is to become more capable. Red is part of training when it prepares you to return stronger. Avoidance is different. Red has intention. Avoidance has fear. Red says, "I will recover and continue." Avoidance says, "I hope the responsibility disappears." Know the difference. Self-mastery is balance, focus, and openness. Effort and recovery, strength and softness, action and stillness. This is the meaning found in the balance of opposite forces. You cannot live permanently in tension. You cannot live permanently in relaxation. There is a time to push, there is a time to release, a time to speak, a time to listen, a time to hold on, a time to let go. Wisdom is knowing which moment you are in. And that wisdom becomes clearer when the mind is still. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is where you begin hearing what constant noise has been covering. Sit with yourself. No phone, no music, no conversation. At first, the mind may become loud. Old memories appear. Fears appear. Unfinished emotions rise. Do not run. Observe them. The mind is showing you what has been waiting underneath distraction. You cannot master what you constantly avoid. The thought appears. Observe it. The emotion appears. Feel it without immediately acting. The discomfort appears. Stay present for a little longer. You are teaching the nervous system that discomfort is survivable. You are proving that you do not need to escape every difficult feeling. This is how inner strength develops, not by becoming numb, by becoming capable of feeling deeply without losing direction. You can feel sadness and still take care of yourself. You can feel fear and still take the step. You can feel anger and still choose your words. You can feel doubt and still continue. Your emotions are visitors. Treat them as information, not rulers. Listen to what they reveal. Then choose your action consciously. The goal is not to become cold. It is to become stable. A stable person can love without losing themselves. They can care without controlling. They can support others without carrying every burden. They can experience rejection without believing they are worthless. They can experience success without becoming arrogant. They can experience failure without becoming hopeless. Their center is deeper than the event. Build this center. Build it through your routines, your morning routine, your training, your meditation, your work, your boundaries, your promises. Grand ideas are meaningless without daily structure. The life you want is hidden inside the things you repeatedly do. You do not rise to the level of your intentions. You return to the level of your habits. When pressure comes, you do not suddenly become disciplined. You rely on what you have practiced. This is why training happens before the battle. You practice calm before conflict. You practice focus before the important task. You practice discomfort before life demands endurance. You practice restraint before temptation becomes overwhelming. Preparation gives you options. Without training, reaction takes over. Do not wait for the crisis to discover your weakness. Train now. Wake up before you are forced to. Build your body before illness frightens you. Control your spending before scarcity arrives. Strengthen your mind before rejection tests you. Develop discipline before opportunity demands it. Success is heavy. Responsibility is heavy. Influence is heavy. Many people ask for more without becoming strong enough to carry more. They want the opportunity, but not the preparation. They want respect, but not the character. They want freedom, but not the discipline required to sustain it. Become capable before asking life to give you more focus on what you are becoming. The result will come when preparation meets opportunity. And even if the exact result changes, the strength you develop remains yours. This is the greatest reward of the path. You may begin training because you want success, but eventually, you understand that the person you become is more valuable than the outcome. The discipline remains, the awareness remains, the courage remains. The ability to rebuild remains. External conditions can change. But what has been trained within you cannot easily be taken away. That is real wealth. That is real power. That is self-mastery. So do not search for one dramatic moment that will change everything. Enlightenment is happening in the ordinary moments. When you wake up and choose not to return to sleep. When you stay with the task after excitement disappears. When you do not send the angry message. When you walk away from disrespect. When you sit in silence instead of reaching for distraction. When you keep a promise nobody else knows about. These are the moments that form your character. Nobody may applaud them. Nobody may even see them. But you will feel the difference. Your mind becomes quieter. Your posture changes. Your decisions become clearer. You stop needing to prove yourself. You begin trusting yourself. And when a person trusts themselves, they move differently. They do not chase everyone. They do not panic during delay. They do not collapse after rejection. They know they can return to the path. This is your task, not to control the entire future, to control the next choice, not to defeat every weakness today, to refuse to feed it today, not to become perfect, to become more aware, more disciplined, and more responsible than you were yesterday. The path to self-mastery has no final finish line. There will always be another layer, another attachment to release, another fear to face, another level of discipline to develop. Do not become discouraged by this. It means there is always room to grow. The path continues because life continues. Walk it with humility. The moment you believe you have mastered everything, the ego has already taken control again. Remain a student. Observe, practice, correct yourself, continue. You will fall, return. You will become distracted, return. You will make mistakes. Learn and return. The power is not in never leaving the path. The power is in knowing how to come back. So return now, return to your breath. Return to the present moment. Return to the responsibility in front of you. Stop waiting for the world to become easier. Become wiser. Become stronger. Become calmer. Stop waiting for fear to disappear. Develop the courage to move with fear present. Stop waiting for motivation. Develop discipline. Stop asking other people to recognize your worth. Live in a way that demonstrates self-respect. Stop trying to conquer everything outside you. Begin with the person in the mirror. Master the impulse. Master the reaction. Master the excuse. Master the need for approval. Master the habit of running from discomfort. And remember, the person who conquers another may win one battle, but the person who conquers themselves carries victory into every part of life. Be still enough to see yourself clearly. Be honest enough to accept what must change. Be disciplined enough to do the work. Be patient enough to repeat it. And be humble enough to continue learning. This is the way, not the way of perfection, the way of practice, the way of awareness, the way of responsibility, the way of self-mastery.